Hi, Ray here. I'm glad you could make it. I'm talking to you today from the middle of a protest rally here at Fairy Creek on the southwest coast of Vancouver Island. And this is the remnants of what was the headquarters of the protest here in favor of preserving the last remnant of old growth forest in this area. In British Columbia as a whole, we're down to less than 3% of the really old, big old growth. And so the fight has been centered here for 1 year, just over 1 year. This conflict is unfolding within the traditional territory of the Pacheedaht and Pacheedaht First Nations people. It's a complex issue. Members of band councils have signed a revenue sharing agreement with the government, allowing logging to take place. The lion's share of the profits go to US-based Teal Jones Logging Company. Meanwhile, members of the Pacheedaht, including Elder Bill Jones, oppose logging in the Fairy Creek watershed, which they consider sacred. That first blockade was set up by a group calling itself the Rainforest Flying Squad. Bill has attracted international attention to the valley and welcomed the protesters into his territory.
In my people's language, when you do something together, you become kuas, and you come to and fro in our land as friends and companions. And you are indeed kuas in Fairy Creek. And we will share food and have memories together, and we will indeed tell all those that are in political power that we are here, that we're standing for our old growth, and that we will not back down.
The last time I was here, just a couple of weeks back, this was a functioning village at the center of the protest. And as I said, what you're seeing now is the remnants. This is a picture of a projection of power from the state, from the corporation, and from the police. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, including their emergency response team, are on the scene, enforcing a court-ordered injunction granted to Teal Jones, banning interference with the logging operation. Risking arrest, frontline protesters defy the order, hindering progress with innovative hard blocks, tree sits, locking themselves into excavations in the road, and raised tripods. On the enforcement side, the RCMP defy court orders condemning their tactics as illegal, creating arbitrary exclusion zones, keeping out media and public witnesses. As this battle enters its second year, police actions seem to be escalating. Witnesses report police reserving their roughest treatment for Indigenous protesters.
I'm here to make sure everyone's safe. That's my job.
You know how you do that? Keep the trees here.
All this unfolds against the backdrop of raging wildfires in the interior, warnings from the science community about climate change and the ongoing crises surrounding unmarked children's graves on the grounds of former Indian residential schools, and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Indigenous women, in fact, are a big part of the resistance. Today's march, whether by its number or the large contingent of elders and non-native protesters, pushes through the exclusion zone to an open area in a clear cut, dotted with red dresses commemorating missing and murdered Indigenous women. But today's march is successful in that supplies for the front lines are moved through, which are sparse after the destruction of HQ, as well as hope that's telegraphed to those willing to put themselves most at risk.
So everyone just thank you and thank each other around you and give yourselves a huge holler like this is incredible.
The often heard women's warrior song arises, proving emotionally cathartic for some in the sit-down that followed in the circle.
Ambulances up there, there's elders that are being stopped on a hill like that at the worst possible thing.
I was arrested for criminal contempt of court on an obstruction charge for crossing an unlawful exclusion zone, yellow police line. That as of the other day, the courts said that the exclusion zone had to be measured in meters, not kilometers. And this, I believe, was approximately 1.5 kilometers. And it was chosen at the crest of a hill with zero shade, and the temperature was probably in the high 30s. So we had at least one casualty, an elder who was suffering a bit of heat exhaustion, I think. I don't know for sure. But, and yeah, so we were arrested, and there were 10 of us. And we've just been driven down now after, I guess, about 1.5 hours sitting in the paddy wagon, and now we're free to go. So they said they're not processing. So it was a total waste of time on their part and money.
Coming back to your senses and regaining your sensitivity, and I said, you are now becoming the indigenous person that your people were born in years ago. And you are the rebirth of our nation. You are now re-indigenizing yourselves, and I'm most grateful for you for that.